Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Okay, so welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Codton. Obviously, I'm not joined by anyone other than myself today. This is a very impromptu live stream. We did a couple, one of these a little bit ago, and I thought maybe we'd give it a shot this time around on YouTube. So, want to see how this works. We did Facebook Live last time, and honestly, I wasn't too happy with it. So maybe YouTube is the best bet to do these live mini episodes. So, with that said, here's what we got going on today. I do want to remind you guys about episode 110. Episode 110, if you remember, is our skyscraper episode. So that was a very fun episode. If you haven't already, you can find that on basically all of our podcasting apps that we're on. So check that out. Also, episode 111 is going to be coming out on Sunday. And that is going to be one of our Is It Really That Awful episodes. So that's going to be on the movie Toys from 1992. Definitely check that one out. We had fun with it mainly because not all of us liked Toys. I personally did like Toys, but I know that John and Elaine were kind of iffy on it. So definitely check that out. That'll be dropping on Sunday. Along with that, I do have a little bit of news on the Indiegogo front. So this isn't me attacking them again, don't worry. But as some of you may know, a couple of years ago, I produced a documentary called House of Oddities, A Story of the Atrocity Exhibition. And we were able to play it at a couple film festivals, won a couple of awards. But the one thing we never did was really do a proper distribution of the film to everybody who wanted to see it. So one of the caveats with that is that part of the reason why we couldn't do a distribution of it is because we did capture, what could be construed as copyrighted music because we were capturing live performances of the show back then. So that's kind of the reason why it hasn't come out. Now, the solution behind to fix this has really been to get a original score created. And fortunately, I've been in talks with a composer who has agreed to do an original score for those parts, which will then open the floodgates up so that I can get this film onto Amazon Prime. Now, where does the Indiegogo part come into play? Basically, we need money to pay the composer as well as to fund our subtitles of the film and any sort of marketing thing. So you'll be seeing probably in about a week or two the Indiegogo officially launch, which will have all the details. I've got some prizes picked out that are going to be really cool. So keep that in the back of your heads that the Indiegogo launch for House of Oddities Composer Fund will be coming out pretty soon, so check that out. Now, on to the meat and potatoes of today's episode. I'm, of course, talking about the documentary that I actually was able to get a screener of, and that is of the film King Cohen. It's a documentary about Larry Cohen, who is a filmmaker you may not know. I know that I knew of his work. I did not know who he was. And that's kind of the joke in this film, is that a lot of people know who the work behind that Larry Cohen has done, but not necessarily the man himself. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about movies like The Stuff. So if you're a horror film buff, you'll definitely know what that is. I'm talking about The Stuff. I'm talking about movies like It's Alive and Black Caesar and a bunch of other great films. He was actually a script doctor who worked on movies like Phone Booth, for instance, with Colin Farrell, directed by Joel Schumacher. So he's had a long, exhaustive career, and the documentary does a fantastic job of basically distilling his career down into 90 minutes. So it's a great insider look at him. And it's filled with stories from a lot of prominent filmmakers. Martin Scorsese's in it, John Landis, as well as actors that worked with Larry Cohen through the years. And they give a lot of their stories about how their interactions with him kind of, gave them their first break in film. And Larry Cohen, especially like from the documentary, you get that he was basically one of the patron saints of independent filmmaking. He was using his own backyard when he lived in the Hollywood Hills to produce some of his first films, as well as run and gun guerrilla style filmmaking, in which that's basically the bread and butter of indie filmmakers today. Now, I will say that watching the documentary has told me that there's a lot of stuff that honestly he was able to get away with that I don't know if necessarily the modern day independent filmmaker could get away with. Like there's a scene in, I believe it was A Winged Serpent, where he talks about how he actually had gunners, like people with guns, shooting blanks above a skyscraper, and the bullets were actually hailing down on the actual real people in New York, and they actually got the police called on them and became a big giant story. So just thinking about the climate that we're in now, I don't think he'd be able to get away with that at all. Definitely check out King Cohen. I did find that there were a couple things that I thought worked well with it. As I mentioned, the great stories behind it. You see his early rise as basically a television writer in the late 50s and early 60s, and basically create black exploitation films as well as regular exploitation films. And really the documentary was a love letter to the man. But I did feel that the one criticism I have of it is that it's too much of a love letter. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of this movie has no conflict in it, in that the moments of conflict that you do get between people telling the stories and Larry Cohen are kind of few and far between. I mean, he actually has both his ex-wife and his current wife in the film, and they have nothing to say but positive things. I tend to think that, as a filmmaker, you might have more to the story than what we're just seeing. You can't tell me that there wasn't some sort of conflict, that there, bad things didn't happen. It just feels almost like a really nice love letter with really no sort of conflict. So, is it bad? Hell no. It's a great documentary. And honestly, if you're a student of film or you have an interest in film, this is definitely something that you'd want to check out. But you may find that you're watching it and going, why does everyone have only positive things to say? No one has anything negative to say. You don't really get that counterpoint. So that's my only criticism about it. Definitely check it out. It's available on VOD now. So video on demand, if you've got it, check it out. It does come out on Blu-ray on September 25th, so keep that in mind. It's from Dark Star Pictures. Thank you to them for giving us a screener. Great film, as I said. So, in closing, if you like these live streams, let us know. If there's movies that you want us to cover that I'm not covering now, please let me know. I love doing these live streams. If I can, keep them up. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epiccastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. And make sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and iTunes and catch a new episode available every Sunday. I'll see you guys later.
Epicast.